is, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in here to another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things that I dislike about my R1M. Y'all seem to really like it when I do these videos and stuff like that, and it causes up a little idlewild and a little bit of a stir, some shit here on the internet. So, well, you know what? I don't care. I'm not loyal to any of these bikes, and if I don't like any of them, I'll sell them, whether it be taking a loss on them or like a significant loss if I really don't want it or anything like that, or if I just really don't like it, I'll keep it, or I'll do what I want to do with it. But I want to inform you guys as well some of the things that I personally dislike that aren't so much mentioned on a lot of these other reviews and things like that, because you got to remember these are all pretty much race bikes, and all of these motorcycle magazines and motorcycle testers and such like that, they test these motorcycles on the racetrack where they're born and they get their DNA from. But as I've mentioned in a lot of my other videos, a lot of you guys buy these bikes because of the way they look, the way they sound, they're cool, depending on whatever it is that you do with them, whether it be on the drag strip, the racetrack, whatever. You ride them a lot on the street, and you don't always get to utilize those characteristics that have always been utilized here on a track bike. So its street manners mean a lot to some of you and some more to others than the racetrack. And I'm going to keep it real with you, 100. If I think the bike's a piece of shit, I'll tell you it's a piece of shit. I've said that many times about some of my other motorcycles that I don't care for, that I actually care for it, the way it looks, the way it doesn't look, the way it handles, doesn't handle, whatever it may be. So here's another keep it real review here of the R1M. So first thing we're going to get off and say, the biggest thing that I probably do not like about this motorcycle, and it's a simple fix, but again, it follows with its characteristics, is its height. Now, a lot of also you ask me, how tall am I? Well, I'm 5'10", and I could pretty much flat foot, both feet on all of my motorcycles, except the Hyper Motard. That bike's obviously tall, it's a hooligan bike, and it's designed to be tall like a dirt bike. So I kind of are a little bit of a tippy toe on that bike. But this bike here, it's the only bike that I cannot flat foot, and I'm almost tippy toeing on this bike as well. It's a very tall bike. Now it is track orientated and designed for extreme lean angles, so is my Ducati V4, but I can flat foot that bike. So again, just the seat perch and stuff like that where this bike is, and the seat is also very wide on this bike. So especially if you have tight jeans on or anything like that, or don't have a shoe with a heel. I'm not saying high heels or anything like that. I mean, if you want to ride your bike with your high heels, that's fine. Ain't no discrimination here. But it's like you almost have to be 6 foot to kind of like flat foot this bike. It just is a very tall motorcycle just in general. So that's probably the biggest thing, and it's just for me personally, but it's not really a big gripe, so with the motorcycle itself, because it's not a problem or anything like that. It's not like Yamaha messed up or anything like that, so no. Second thing that I don't like about this motorcycle is when the rear seat cap is on, you have to use Torx bits to take it off. And then you need a set of Allen keys to get rid of the holder where the GPS and communication unit goes out to put the passenger seat on. So it's kind of like you're either going to be a passenger or it's going to have the cap on. Now I kind of wish it was more like the BMW where you could put the seat cap on, and even the GSXRs and some of the Kawasaki's, where you take the cap off, it clips in right exactly where the rear seat goes. Now it does go where the rear seat goes, but it has some bracketry and stuff that has to go with it, obviously for the communication unit underneath. I just wish that it could all have been done a little bit more streamlined, more plug and play. Again, nothing that's really going to change the way the motorcycle rides or its characteristics or anything like that. These are just small things that I'm kind of like nitpicking on. The third thing that I really don't care for this motorcycle, it's the excessive maintenance that you consistently have to do with the carbon fiber, obviously, to keep it up. Now, this is nobody's fault but my own, because obviously I knew buying the R1M, pretty much the whole bike is made of carbon fiber. If you don't want that problem, you buy the standard version. Sure, you don't get the ON suspension and stuff that it comes with, but that's also primarily why I bought this bike. But all this carbon fiber and such, it's like a very high maintenance girlfriend. You don't want any chips or cracks or anything in it, and you always want to keep it waxed, keep it looking good, because these fairings are like twice the cost of a traditional style fairing because it's made of carbon fiber. So it's just the high maintenance that I just, don't care for. But that's not with this bike. That doesn't really affect the performance of it or anything like that. It's just the high maintenance. And you can see, guys, some of the things that I'm listing, I'm nitpicking. The fourth thing that I don't necessarily care for this motorcycle, now this actually has to do with the bike itself and its engineering. The quick shifter. Now that was a big thing for 2018. Now it's good, but it's definitely nowhere near the BMW, the GSXR, or the V4. Sometimes when you're shifting between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it doesn't matter what gear it is, the shifter has a lot of travel, a long throw in it. And if you don't get it right all the way when you're going through, obviously the computer will step in, retard the timing, and try and obviously take care of it going into the next gear. But if it doesn't, the shift forks actually don't move enough inside the transmission to obviously get you into the next gear, and it gets stuck in between gears. So you kind of have to make sure that you always go a complete travel of throw on this bike to make sure that it goes in between and into the next gear, because if it doesn't, you're either going to lose speed because the bike is going to try and take over and auto-correct it because you didn't have the shifter level travel far enough, or it's going to get stuck in between the gears. But again, for 2018, because it comes with the Gen 2 suspension, the IM unit under the seat, and of course, obviously the quick shifter going downwards, which was a big thing for me as much as this bike cost, that it didn't have it in its previous years. I think that it could have been just worked a little bit better. Now, since my bike is flashed and had the ECU adjusted and stuff like that, you can make some of those changes as well within the ECU. But again, a lot of people try to overdo things as well when they flash a motorcycle. Now, I'm just going to touch real quick on this. A Yamaha, it doesn't matter what brand it is. Whether it's Ducati, BMW, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Honda, they spent millions and millions and sometimes even billions of dollars in R&D to the way these bikes run. And when you're flashing it and taking your de-restriction off and stuff like that, it's still going to run, but it may run lean, or if you change your pipes, it's going to run lean. So whether you have to add some fuel, take some fuel away and stuff like that. But for the most of the part, you don't necessarily have to adjust the accelerator tables. You adjust your air-fuel ratio. You don't really have to adjust your injection timing unless your duty cycle is through the roof on your injectors, which it shouldn't be because these things have 8 injectors, and it's only running on the first 4 as a primary. You don't really have to adjust your timing because it has automatic timing tables and ram air tables to adjust timing and stuff up top. So you can kind of consecutively say, and you could throw an extra half a degree or quarter degree of timing in it up top and stuff like that, but then again you're running into the risk of your bike knocking and things like that, and who the hell wants to have a bike that's $25,000 plus and then have it throw a rod or detonate because you got too much timing in it. The way they have it, it stays safe, and you can pretty much always beat the piss out of it, and it's going to stay safe. Now, if your bike does have knock sensors and things like that, and you want to constantly data log and you're going into a full race bike, then that's a different story. But we're not going to even get too far off of that track. The fifth thing that I really dislike about this bike, and that will be actually related to the bike and its engineering, that has to do with when the motorcycle actually turns on. Now, a lot of people will always say it's good to warm up your motorcycles or your car before you go ahead and take off. Well, if you're driving and you just get on it and hop on it, no damage or anything is going to be done. I'll tell you that. But don't get on it when you just turn it on and the bike is 60, 70 degrees and you just wide open throttle and wail on it. No, I don't actually recommend that at all. But you can drive it normally. But when this bike is cold, this thing ticks like no tomorrow. Almost like it has like bad lifters inside of it. And it's really freaking annoying, and it's really, really loud. But then once it gets warmed up at like 200 degrees, 210 degrees, and then the oil, but it has nothing to do really with the antifreeze. It's the oil temperature. Once it warms up, then it doesn't go on ahead and tick as bad and pretty much completely goes away. Now, some people will obviously advocate and say, well, it's kind of a race bike and stuff like that. Again, I get it. But again, it's just an annoyance because it also gets ridden on the street. This is not a MotoGP bike. This is more of a World Superbike. So it's not a pre-production bike. It's not a bike that hasn't gone into production or anything like that. This is a bike that is meant for the street. So it's just a little bit of annoyance, because you're riding around for like the first 10 minutes, so you have to let it warm up for the first 10 minutes, and then it finally goes away. But as far as a complete package, and you guys know that I've never been a Yamaha fan, and still kind of not, but this one is kind of winning me over because, like I said, a lot of my motorcycle friends and co-workers, colleagues, acquaintances have all ridden Yamahas since I've been riding, and I've ridden all of them. They are a very aesthetically pleasing motorcycle, but I never cared for the way they ride and didn't really care for its mechanical engineering. But again, if it was complete shit, they wouldn't be winning races and stuff like that. So and they do, and they win a lot of them. So that's just my personal opinion. But this generation of Yamaha, after riding the last one, before all the Gen 2 suspension and stuff came out, it just wasn't there. Now I really think that this bike is almost fully complete. Could be a couple small things here or there, but you know what? No bike is perfect. No Ducati's perfect, no BMW is perfect, no Suzuki's perfect. Everyone has its flaw in a way, and this bike will do something better than the next one, and then the next one, and this one doesn't do what this one does, and vice versa. So overall, I really think that Yamaha did its homework. That's why I bought this bike as well. And it's also very different from the Ducati, and I really enjoy actually riding this bike actually a lot around town. And if you can actually if you want to hear what I have to say about that, I made a video about commuting with this bike. And I think this bike, it's obviously not as comfortable as the GSXR or the BMW, but it's damn close, and I really think that you can commute with this bike on a daily basis. I maybe wouldn't commute with the R1M because of the carbon fiber, but the standard R1, it's really good. The seat's plush, the tank is wide, and it really actually, you're not too far raked over somewhere like how in the previous R1s. But again, for a crotch rocket and for what Yamaha has done, I really think they did a great job with this motorcycle. And I've tried to find a lot of things, after riding it for a few hundred miles and such like that, and I really can't find too many things that I really have to say that I dislike about this bike, and that's coming from someone that's extremely biased a lot also towards Yamaha products. So I really tip my hat off to them, and I really think they did a really good job, especially with the updates and the suspension that they have done here to the Gen 2. So I hope you guys found this video informative, and if you get a chance to go ride one, whether it be a base or an M, go check it out. And I really think the new R1M and the new R1 is light years ahead of any of the previous ones as far as the rideability, the drivability, and obviously, definitely the engineering and the mechanical ability to work on it, because this thing is 10 times easier to work on than a Yamaha 10 years ago. So tip my hat to you guys on that one. So, but that's going to wrap it up here for today's video. If you guys liked what you saw, again, don't forget to subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, @TheSpeedBug. Same name here as YouTube. And we'll catch you all for another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Deuces, guys.